is a new one. So no, we haven't heard back yet from Kevin on the other one, but that's a new one. I will, during agenda review, just make a note for the selectmen that this, if you take action on item F, it won't happen until after executive session. So once we get to E, we can just skip over G. And also Chief Susan will be joining us in executive session. He stuck around. Just him. Amy.
Like Rob?
Yeah, he just wants to see the site and give you all a sense of how things are going.
She had to run a new line.
Oh, did
outside.
they,
Yeah.
they're working on it now, the whole, from the pulp.
She says they're gonna bring a bucket truck in the next 2 hours. It's gonna be done tonight. I'm like, wow. I bet you Frontier. God. No. She said the unit that was in the box.
They probably certainly have them responding faster. Because I can't wait for it to be together.
She's so nice. She came up from Bristol and I said, oh my God, you're sitting in poison ivy. Let me get a blanket out for you. She was, thank you. I said, it's bad up here. You haven't touched it, so I think you're okay.
Everyone all set?
Internet at home.
I want my volume on, so I'm not that guy.
Actually nice not having the internet for a whole day.
All right, everyone all set? Good evening. I'd like to call to order the regular Board of Selectmen's meeting for Monday, May 15th, 2023. Can we have the call to order?
Candace Bouchard.
Jonathan Morhart?
Candy Perez?
Josh Kelly.
Todd Archelashi.
Juan Albanesius.
Steven Sedlak.
Linda Grappo?
Jack Fork. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Review of the agenda. Anyone have anything to add? Seeing nothing, moving on to item 4, approval of our special meeting on May 1st, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor? Unanimous, thank you. Moving on to item B, can I have an approval of minutes of our regular meeting on May 1st?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Linda.
I'll second.
Thank you, Jack. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Oh, wait.
Okay.
All in favor? Unanimous, thank you. Moving on to item 5, citizens' comments. The Board of Selectmen welcomes public comments. Speakers will be limited to 3 minutes and may speak once. Who wishes to speak? Captain?
Took a fall. Busted up myself. Good evening, Captain Stefan Kosinski, 105A Standard Avenue. I was not going to speak at this particular public comment, but some new information came to my attention early this evening. One is, I was talking with my cousin Paul, who had a family meeting down in Florida, and he just happened to Google my name up and brought up back in 2013, the article that was written in New Haven Register. I'd forgotten all about it, but this goes back to the fact that at the time it was a Democrat majority on the board. 2 Republicans, it was Glenn Benicius and Ken Fracasso, and God bless his soul, he's gone. There was a vote taken. It was a 5-2 vote. And it was, you know, the Democrats. They went and wanted to amend the public comment, which was at that time, they wanted to do away and reduce it to 1 comment period, as well as do away with the comment period. So that was, first of all, illegal to do at that particular point in time. And then they wanted to manipulate it further by stating the fact that they were going to take away the 5-minute individual speaking time and a 10-minute speaking time for a group, and reduce it 3 minutes across the board. That was also illegal. Why is, I forgot the information was, they wanted to manipulate the citizens. They took away their right to freedom of speech. They wanted also 3 minutes where you've got state and federal, they give them 5 minutes, but they made a mistake, big mistake. They said you could only comment on items that were on the agenda, which was against the town charter, because the town charter specifically said you can speak on any subject. So that made that 3-minute rule totally illegal. Okay, so I just wanted to bring, because I sent you some packets involved, also with the deprivation of rights and benefits under color of law. And that is where we're at. So you've got a situation here. I didn't, like I said, I didn't want to come up and give you this ad, but it's important information that you should know. All right, so that's when it comes up and you're going to have your discussion on the agenda tonight about public comment. Take that into consideration, that I don't come here and I'm not looking to point any fingers at anyone, though we have some individuals that were on that particular board in 2013, and they're accountable. They are, there's no question about that. There is accountability required. So with that, I have nothing further to state. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak?
Yeah, I do.
Go ahead.
Candy Perez, 605 West Wakefield Boulevard. I'm not going to get up and come around the table this evening if you don't mind. But since November of 2013, through a Republican supermajority, and 2015, public comment was exactly the way it is right now. 3 minutes at the beginning of the meeting, 3 minutes at the end of the meeting. Wasn't changed then, hasn't been changed to today. So just want that fact on the record. I went to the town clerk's office and verified that last week.
Moving on to item number 6, town manager's report.
Good evening, everybody. I want to remind everybody that we do have a special town meeting that will occur before the next regular Board of Selectmen meeting. That's to be held at 6:00 p.m. on Monday, June 5th, 2023. The subject of that meeting will be threefolds. There will be consideration and possible action on the sale of the Bachelor School property, the sale of 17 Front Street, as well as the granting of permanent easements at a given property posted for public viewing. So I encourage everybody, please come out, be part of that. And the next regular Board of Selectmen meeting will be on Monday, June 5th at 7:00 p.m. following that meeting. The budget will be voted at the annual budget voted on at the annual budget referendum Saturday, May 27th. Voting's held from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. at Pearson School, 2 Wetmore Ave. Absentee ballots are available by request at the town clerk's office. Regarding economic development, beyond 17 Front Street, we have recently had a ribbon cutting for a new business in town. That's Gianni's Deli, and we've been made aware that there are 2 of our various business startup forgivable loan recipients that will be opening shop in the next month or 2. We have the axe throwing business, Edgeworks Axe House, set to open around July 4th over at 32 Lake Street. And we also have a bakery that will open at, I believe it's 414 Main Street. Those are both proceeding along well.
450,
450?
yeah,
Okay, 450. My apologies.
no problem.
We have continuing development with fiber optic internet. My understanding is that individuals' homes are being turned on with fiber. I've heard positive feedback. For those of you who haven't been contacted about getting that service up and running, it should be coming very soon. Right now, with grants, we are currently working to develop a submission to the Connecticut Department of Transportation Connectivity Grant Program. There's an up to $800,000 that could be received through this program for items related to the creation of bike lanes, multi-use trails, and more. Beyond this, there is a survey that I have shared with the Board of Selectmen, and I really want to thank especially Selectman Bouchard for providing some feedback for us. But in an effort to try and make sure we can go for larger grants related to the redesign of Main Street and trying to fit more parking in the area of Main Street, we are going to be launching a community survey. It's related to parking and safety along Main Street, and I hope that everybody, regardless of whether you live on Main Street, you visit, you travel along it, this survey is for everybody. So regardless of how often you visit, I encourage you, please check it out on the town's website. More information will be sent to you in the upcoming Winchester Wire, which should be getting out to every door this week. With personnel, the town has made 3 recent hires. We have Linda Velez joining us in the assessor's office. We have Jeff Green and Shane Wynot joining us in the land use department. Those individuals I'm asking to come and visit the board to make introductions in the next month or so. So be on the lookout for that on a future agenda. And I'm also very happy to say that formerly assistant building official, now building official, Bill Petroface has passed his building official examination. That's something that often requires many retries. That takes many years, and he passed in under a year on the job here in the town of Winchester. So that is very impressive on his part. I certainly have been impressed with his work. And as I mentioned, the Winchester Wire is going out this week. Are there any questions that I can answer for members of the Board of Selectmen?
I'd just like to highlight in your Winston Wire, there is a, something at AMP. They had a nice program the other night, and the most amazing thing is this woman, as we review our history here, she had started AMP, Ellen Guzik, in 20 years ago or so, and now it is a state-of-the-art venue, and it was, you know, it's hard sometimes. I go there, and it's like we have this here in Winston, which unlike a lot of towns don't have a venue as good as that. So I just want to make sure that we plug the places that have been here, been our foundation, and are really doing a good job, and keeps us all moving forward.
And if you sign up for the weekly update for Friends of Main Street, you can get notification of that every month, every week.
Any other questions for Josh? Moving on to item number 7, Finance Director's Report. Is she here? She always hides behind the column.
Yeah, she's here.
Good evening. Everybody should have the additional solar account summary that I gave to everyone this evening. 2 sides of the paper there. We can go over that after if anyone has any questions. We are 83% into the year. These are results through the end of April of 2023, and I want to thank all of our taxpayers for their prompt tax, water, and sewer payments. Current property taxes, year-to-date, $25,557,528, which is 99.42% of our budget, compared to $24,571,586, which is 101.79% of the budget in the prior year. Total past due taxes year-to-date, $549,062, which is 119.36%, compared to $629,756, which was 139.95% of last year's budget. Total year-to-date revenues, $36,076,029, which is 100.06% of budgeted, compared to $34,673,5 320, which was 99.38% of year-to-date in the prior year. Total expenditures year-to-date with encumbrances, $28,153,251, which is 78.09% of budget, compared to $27,837,642, which was 79.79% of last year's budget. April municipal aid received was our final education cost sharing of $3,853,166. Our cash flow at April 30th, $22,264,570. That includes the $12 million of proceeds that we received from the bond sale. $12,533,005 is invested of that $22 million. $4,488,977 is in the Northwest Community Bank sweep account. $2,292,958 is in the STIF account, and $5,751,070 in the Northwest Community Bank money market account. Our capital expenditures for April, we had $11,115 spent on the Case Avenue Bridge. You'll see in May that we have an additional significant payment to them. $30,660 in annual road maintenance, and $29,100 spent for a park and rec tractor with the loader attachment. For Hinsdale, well, we are still waiting on our expected reimbursement number 7, which will give us another $1,197,498 in cash. Questions? Yes.
I have a question on the solar,
Sure.
especially for over on the page with the sewer.
Yep.
So if I'm reading this correctly, because in the sewer commission instituted that $40.
Yeah, I already talked to the sewer commission about this at our last meeting regarding, go ahead, sorry.
I know you did, but I wasn't there, and neither were most people.
Okay.
And it's not, I don't believe it's recorded, nor is it, for them. So, basically, the electric bills, did they do what you thought they were going to do? It looks like they did not go as high as everybody was.
No, and my understanding is that with the new rates that were locked in, I believe that those will go into effect with our May billing. We'll wait and see when we get the May billing. And what I did speak to the commission about, and Mr. Rollins and I had talked about, was once we get through the end of the year and we pay all the bills through June 30th, which probably won't be until July, August, potentially when we get the final LSC bills, we will look at where we ended the year and if there is potential to do a refund back to the ratepayers. That would go in the November billing of next year. So it wouldn't be in the August billing because we won't have all of the data to do that by then. But we will analyze that all and look at where we landed compared to the surcharge that was put out to the ratepayers and determine if there will be a refund back to the ratepayers on that.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I was reading that correctly.
Yes.
Because the next sewer increase is going to be coming.
Correct. So the increase will come in August. There won't be any, if there is any potential credit for the utilities surcharge, it will not be part of the August bill because we won't have all of the relevant bills in and paid to analyze the full year. But we will analyze it and make sure that if there is any, to communicate that, and that would be part of the November billing.
Great, thank you.
Just so everyone, in the reports that I gave you, there are projections through the end of June 30th. If anybody had any questions on those also.
I do have a question regarding the general fund income. Page 1 of 15. Income on investments.
Yes,
Am I showing this number correctly?
you are.
235,000?
You are, correct. Interest rates have, that's the one thing with the inflation, is interest rates have gone up on our bank accounts, and we're taking advantage. Our treasurer does a fantastic job of staying on top of it and moving money and trying to maximize the amount of investment income for the town.
Okay. Was there anything special that we did differently?
No, just it's the rise in the rates.
It's a pretty good increase. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Anne Marie? Thank you. Moving on to item number 8, correspondence. Jack?
Yeah, let me speak to this. You all have received a letter from the Soldiers Monument Commission, and this is an informative letter. We on the commission just wanted to make sure that the Board of Selectmen recognizes that we are continuing to develop and expand and offer the park for continued and public use. This particular request came to us from the family of Glenn Wynn, who passed away in October of last year, and they requested in front of the Soldiers Monument Commission if they perhaps could use part of the park to place a bench. And on page 2, you saw a picture of the bench that they're proposing. They will not only get this bench, pay for it, but it will be on a cement slab, not as it's presented here on grass. That way, it'll be kept mowed around it. And we are going to have a formal dedication of this bench on Veterans Day, November 11th. So, again, this letter was more coming to us from the commission as a piece of information to let the Board of Selectmen know that the park and what the commission is doing. We are still working on getting the shed in. That should be this weekend. And well, during the Selectmen's announcement, I'll make other things about Soldiers Monument.
Thank you, Jack. Any other correspondence? Steve?
Yeah, we all received a copy of the report from the State Board of Education regarding the study of funding for the Gilbert School. Is there a point where we would put it on the agenda for discussion, or?
Certainly, anytime that it's the wish of the Board of Selectmen, it can be placed on the agenda.
Yeah, for next meeting?
Okay.
Yeah, because if we're discussing, I'd like to go back and try to get them to do something again.
Any other correspondence? Seeing none. Steve, boards and commissions.
Okay, we have, this evening, we're going to place in name for consideration, the name of Bradley Burkorf as a member of the Recreation Board. He would be replacing Alicia Warner. So we'll start the vetting process on Mr. Burkorf. We have 2 reappointments this evening, and I'd like to move that we reappoint George Clausen as a member of the Water and Sewer Commission, term to expire in June of '28.
Second.
Thank you, Candace. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Unanimous?
And I'd like to place in the nomination the name of Joseph Lemlin as a member of the Water and Sewer Commission, term to expire in June of '28.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Jack. Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous?
And I'd like to acknowledge the resignation of one of our board members, Jamie Duffy, resigning as a member of the Recreation Board. When we replace her, we'll have a person whose term ends in April of '27, so another vacancy on the Recreation Board. That's the report.
Thank you, Steve.
There's another one.
Moving on to item 10, unfinished business. A discussion, possibly act on the establishment of public comment at the board selectmen meetings. So at last meeting, during public comments, Mr. Kaczynski, the captain, made a motion to return public comment to 2013. In review of our charter and in consultation with the town attorney, that motion is deemed to be out of order. Motions must be made by the Board of Selectmen. That being said, since 2013, and more so in my term, we have not limited free speech in any way. You can speak on anything in the 2 public comment sections that we have for the 3 minutes that we have in each section. I polled members of the COG, and our 2 public comment sections with 3 minutes per section is in line with the rest of the COG. Also, in regards to the American Bar Association states that a board may set a time limit for public comment. This board has, in 2013, set public comment at 3 minutes, which is where it remains today. 2013 was a very difficult time for Winchester, and we shouldn't be trying to go back to those days. We're moving forward. And that's the way we should be, looking ahead, not back. So there is no motion to take action on. Any other comments from the board? Seeing none, moving on to item A, under new business, 23-29. Consider and possibly act on the granting of a driveway variance at 349 West Wakefield Boulevard.
I would like to invite our Director of Public Works to come up to the front. Speak a little bit about this parcel, if you would. And tell us why it's requiring a variance and whether you recommend it or not.
Okay, for the record, Jim Rollins, Director of Public Works. The applicants are here for 349 West Wakefield Boulevard. They purchased a property that's in, the state that it's in now is the state that they purchased it in. The previous owner, I would say, took advantage of the poorly crafted driveway ordinance that we have. Specifically, if you're not disturbing 50% or more of the length of a driveway, you're not required to get a permit. So when he applied to put his garage addition on the property, he said that his driveway was only gonna come out from the garage a certain distance and then have a nice 90-degree junction with the existing driveway. It was less than 50%. The ordinance doesn't allow, getting a permit for that, so he didn't. When he put it in, he didn't make a nice 90-degree angle. He flared it down, which actually meant he altered more than 50% of the length. But since there was no permit, there's no checking on it. Then he added another driveway down by, closer down to the road, excuse me, and that was less than 50% of the combination of the original plus the second phase. So kind of manipulated the sweet spot between, and kind of overdid it. The people that bought it had no idea. So as is typical for driveways in this area, it exceeds the slope maximums, both coming off the road and the maximum. There's just, the pre-existing one did too. This didn't make it any worse for sure. So I feel it's in the character of the driveway, the intent of the driveway ordinance to allow them to have what they have. I think if the applicant I think that the person who built it, had they come to us for a permit saying this is what they wanted to do, would have gotten it, because it didn't really substantially change what they had. They still meet their impervious surface percentages and so forth. It's not an erosion problem. So if you read, I don't know if you've got the write-up that I had sent in, but my recommendation is to, grant the easement for the driveway because it's in excess of 4% in the first 40 feet and in excess of 14% maximum slope.
So are those the changes you're recommending?
No, these aren't really the changes. What I have here in green, in black is the actual checklist that I use when I look at a driveway. In green, I wrote all the facts that are in good order, consistent with the ordinance, and in red.
I was thinking that was more your updated ordinance that you want us to move forward.
I can't use the, I wish it was.
Do we have one yet? Because we're
The
on
more-
driveway number 5-ish.
Oh, there's a lot more than that, but, I have a draft in with Nelligan at this point. I do need to have at least one more meeting with planning and zoning on that before it's ready for publishing
So
after.
it is moving then.
Oh, yeah. There's some things I think I still want to make a couple of changes, but, you know, it's definitely way further along. That last week Michael was here, he and I tag teamed it hard and made some good progress. But yeah, this is, this is really just, the way I go through a driveway checklist, and, you know, at the end, I just kind of do a net sum of what works and what doesn't. And in this case, really the only ones that didn't work, was the maximum slope, and the other one was, you're supposed to maintain a 90-degree, a roughly 90-degree entry off the road for the first 40 feet, but this only does it for 15 feet. Again, there's plenty of visibility, it's not steep in that section. I see no problems with the driveway as it sits.
Okay. I move that the Board of Selectmen grant a driveway variance to Kenneth and Vicky Hawkins for 349 West Wakefield Boulevard.
Second.
Thank you, Candy. Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous?
Thank you.
Twenty-three 30. Refunds is recommended by the Collector of Revenues.
The refunds as presented, mostly relating to motor vehicles, one real estate refund, total $3,845.25 for overpayments and certificates of correction, and I recommend that all refunds be made as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Candace. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Candy. Discussion? All in favor? Unanimous?
I'd just like to say one thing. Last meeting, I asked for an explanation about the overpayments and the certificate of corrections. Thank you, Josh, and thank you, Ashley Kelsey, for the prompt response. It was concise, it was clear, and it was on point. Thank you.
No problem.
23-31, proposed line item transfers.
You got it. So do note we will be coming back to a number of other line item transfers now. I'm not sure why they're separated, but here's one for you. It's an intra-departmental transfer. That means all within one department for the fire department, which is section 211 of our budget. And the request is that a number of different varying amounts totaling $4,450 be transferred into a variety of other accounts, specifically a sum of money from training and education, maintenance of equipment, maintenance of uniforms, and contracted labor be moved into telephone, electricity, heating, fuel, and contracted services. There's a brief explanation that's listed, but market prices for electricity and heating fuel have, of course, been high, as we've discussed. An unanticipated rise in Verizon costs as well, and there was more generator maintenance that was required than we had budgeted for in contracted services. There are overages available in the lines as presented, and my recommendation is that you approve the transfer as Jamie has requested and as is presented to you now.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Steve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Jonathan. Discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor? Unanimous? Item 23-32, the municipal suspense tax list.
So this is something that we do every year. So this is my third time around with this in Winchester. So Ashley Kelsey, our town tax collector, has deemed that the attached taxes from the grand list 2011, 2013, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, and 2021, as well as grand list proposed 2023, are uncollectible. The amount of the suspended taxes is $56,500. $522.79. Each municipality is supposed to have a suspense tax book. At least once in each year, each tax collector is supposed to deliver to the Board of Finance, which in this case is our Board of Selectmen. It's supposed to present this information. A statement giving by rate bill, the name and address of the person against whom each uncollectible tax is levied, and 2, the reason why the collector believes each such tax is uncollectible. At the end of the statement, the tax collector certifies that, to the best of their knowledge and belief, each tax contained in such a statement has not been paid and is uncollectible. These are required in accordance with Connecticut General Statutes 12-165. And certainly Anne Marie and I are happy to answer any other questions that you may have. But the total sum of suspended taxes is $56,522.79, and I recommend that the board adopt the motion as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Candy.
Second.
Thank you, Candace. Discussion? Just a clarification, Josh.
Yep.
Just for a public clarification. Although we are suspending these taxes from collection, they're not uncollectible if somebody turns up in town, registers a car, turns up someplace. These taxes can still be collected with 18% interest.
That's correct. So the town is not giving up on collecting. This means that we're trying to use the resources more efficiently. We're not trying to continue to collect on this. But in the event that these accounts become active, the taxes will be collected with interest at the rate of 18% per year in accordance with the statutes.
All in favor? Unanimous. '23-33, consider and possibly act on the appointment of a town auditor.
Anne Marie, I don't know if you would like to come up and speak to this. King & King has served as our auditing agency for the last 9 fiscal years. Attached, you'll find a letter of engagement to perform the fiscal year 2023 audit. That's the fiscal year that we're in currently. The fee for the audit will not exceed $61,900, which will be allocated to the town in an amount of $32,150, and to the Board of Education in the amount of $19,750, and the Water Sewer Commission in the amount of $10,000. In order to proceed with this, we do need the Board of Selectmen to authorize me to sign a letter of engagement with King and Associates for the terms described in the correspondence dated May 11th, 2023.
I just have a question about it. I'm trying to get to the letter here. Do they talk about how they rotate their auditors that come on with us, that they don't have the same person all the time, or more than like a year or 2, well, 2 years? Because that's something that we learned a long time ago, that we should be rotating with auditors, and King does that by making sure that there's different people every 2 to 3 years. So that's, it's not the same people interacting with our staff and not the same people looking at our books, that there's a change in that. So I just want to know if that's in the contract with them.
I don't believe it's actually in the engagement letter.
But we do have a planning meeting on Wednesday.
Yes, we have a planning meeting with them on Wednesday. One thing that I would like to do, we were going to try to get it done for this year, but I think we're going to, we'll hold off on that, but we should go out to bid for next year for auditors. Even if you end up right back where you are with the same auditors, it's a good practice to go out at least every 3 to 5 years for an RFP on your audit services. Same with actuarial services too.
Right, so because King has done such a great job for us, one of the things that every year I ask this, and every year when Chris King is here, he says he will, but I just like to make sure it's in writing, that the auditors that he gives to the town change at least every 2 years.
So are you looking for the whole audit staff? Are you looking just for the audit manager? What are we?
Well, he knows because we've talked about it before with him, so I just want to make sure that it's in writing. He does rotate people, but I just want to make sure that that's still there,
Okay.
because the last time we did it was bad.
Yeah, and we can talk to him on Wednesday when we have our planning meeting.
Did I understand you to say next year we should go out to bid on
Absolutely,
this?
yes.
Okay. When should we start that process of going out to bid?
Anytime after the audit is issued, I think is
January, February?
January, February, when we're doing the budget, but yeah, I mean, around that time, you'll see a significant number of towns going out to bid for audit services.
Okay. And would you suggest that when we go out to bid, we send it to a particular methodology, or how? Just a regular bid process?
Yeah, through the regular bid process, yes.
Nothing like,
I would put that out on the GFOA message board, so I'm a member of the GFOA, Connecticut GFOA. Typically, that goes out on the GFOA website or in the message board. Most of the public auditing firms that audit municipalities do see those, and it usually just references the RFP. It references people to go to. However, we're getting that documentation out to people, whether they have to request it, in writing, or whether they can pull the documents straight from the website.
fair enough, thank you.
You have a motion?
When are we getting our audit for this year, last year? When the audit's completed?
It is, yes.
When?
The audit's completed, we can get a hard copy too.
Yeah, we haven't received our hard copies yet. We'll have to ask them on Wednesday. I haven't gotten any bound copy. I haven't even gotten my bound copy
I
yet.
haven't either.
Yeah,
And if you could come and talk to us.
sure.
He comes
Yep,
every year.
yep.
You need a motion?
Yes.
I move that the Board of Selectmen authorize the town manager to sign a letter of engagement with King and Associates for the term described in correspondence received May 11th, 23, to complete the 22-23 audit.
Is there a second?
Second that?
Discussion? In the agreement, make sure we include the rotation of auditors. All in favor? Unanimous?
Thank you.
So we're skipping it.
Yep, we can come back to that.
Item 23-34, proposed line item transfer.
All right, item G. So you have in front of you, this is the Tax Collectors Department, that's Department 117. We have a request to transfer $22,550. That's $20,000 from the administrative assistant line, given that there's been a vacancy in that department for a number of months this year in the administrative assistant role. And then the fringe benefits, medical benefits in the amount of $2,550. Going to lines including temporary help, because we've needed an amount of temporary help to fill in when there's no administrative assistant in that department. Overtime in the amount of $7,000. Postage in the amount of $250 to, again, total $22,550 as the proposed transfer. I recommend that the Board of Selectmen authorize the transfer as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Candy. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Linda. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Unanimous? 23-35, proposed line item transfer.
This is an interdepartmental transfer in the Town Clerk's Department. That's Department 120. And we have a request to transfer $400 from Restoration of Records to $10 to maintenance of books and maps, $350 to training and education, $40 to the indexing system in the amount of again, totaling $400. Certainly, I would allow Glenn to speak if he had anything else to say about it. But is a stipend that needs to be issued for completion of courses, as well as more spending in maintenance of books and maps and indexing than foreseen. There is money in the restoration of records that's available, and I recommend that the transfer be made as presented.
I'll move. So move on that transfer.
Thank you, Jack. Thank you, Candace.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous? 23-36, proposed line item transfer.
This is an interdepartmental transfer in Department 210 Police, and it's in the amount of $125,700. That's $100,000 from labor skilled and professional, $6,000 from overtime and drug investigations, $18,000 in training activities, $1,500 in fire range repairs, and $200 in emergency response team. Going to 4 different lines. First, $50,000 to holiday pay, $74,000 to overtime, $1,500 to the telephone, and $200 to membership dues and subscriptions. Certainly, we do have our chief of police here with us tonight. That's Chief Susi. There are unanticipated rises in Verizon costs due to unbudgeted fees and switching to IP-based phones. Holiday pay was used more than expected in November through January, and it was under budgeted in fiscal year 2023. That has been corrected, if you'll note, in the fiscal year 2024 proposed budget. A significant increase is seen in that line. Make sure this doesn't happen again. Overtime is necessary due to staffing shortages, but there's money available in the labor skilled and professional account due to the same staffing shortages. And due to organizations changed pricing mid-year from the prior year costs, which led to a small unexpected overage. All of this can be corrected with a transfer, and it's my recommendation that you make the transfer as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Candy. Is there a second?
Go ahead, Steve.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor? Unanimous. 23-37, proposed line item transfer.
This is an $1,800 proposed transfer in the Emergency Management Department, Department 214. The request is for $300 to come from maintenance of equipment, $750 from communications equipment, and $750 from maintenance of structures. Two lines including telephone in the amount of $1,600, electricity in the amount of $100, and heating fuel in the amount of $100, for a total of $1,800. Of course, electricity and heating fuel is a common discussion. The telephone line item was totally unbudgeted last year in this department, which is why it's going up such a dramatic amount. But there is money in these accounts to cover the costs, and it's my recommendation that the Board of Selectmen authorize the proposed line item transfers as presented.
Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Jonathan got it.
Yep.
Linda second.
Okay.
Any discussion?
Josh, since you mentioned it, I'll raise the question. You know, telephone costs are pretty standard. They don't expand much. I mean, my bills pretty much stay the same. Why were we under budget, and why is this over cost on both of these items? I'm just curious on what happened there, if you can explain that.
Two things. First, we went to an internet phone-based system last year. We went through partway through the year, actually most of the way through the year. We did not get an accurate read on how much that was going to be. For a couple of these accounts, we went over. In this particular account, within the Emergency Management Department, we had no line for telephone. So there is a telephone line that belongs to the Emergency Management Department that, through whatever error that occurred, and I'll take responsibility for that, we did not catch it in this current year's budget, I should say, in last year's budget process. And there is no line currently in that department for telephone. That's been corrected in next year's budget going forward, so this won't happen again. But $1,600 is the total cost for telephone usage for fiscal year 2023. This should cover the whole thing, from 0 to 100%.
Does any of this involve individual cell phone use, or is it more office use?
It's office use, and particularly, there are also hardline phones that our Emergency Management Department uses. And that's to ensure that we have multiple lines of communication. We're not going to see a failure in the event that a telephone line goes down. In the event that the internet goes down, we have interoperability. So they have several phones that operate for the Emergency Management Department.
Thank you.
All in favor? Unanimous. 23-38, proposed line item transfers.
Nobody told me this was going to be a vocal marathon. So we have the dog account next. This is, again, an interdepartmental transfer. That's Department 216. The request is for $300 to come from tires to go to $300 in dog disposal fees. There were more dog disposals required than anticipated, and there's a request to make this transfer. I recommend that it be made.
I'll make the motion.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Jonathan. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Unanimous? Last one. 23-39, proposed line item transfer.
So we've got a proposed line item transfer in the cemeteries department. Oh,
There's just a typo in here.
oh, yeah.
It
Okay.
should be 14, not 41 on the first, on the upper section. That's the retyped one from Terry. It's correct on the transfer form, but not on the statute and test.
Where?
That's
Under
right.
1,085.41, it should be 1,085.14. So the totals are correct. And the actual transfer form has the 14 cents, but just where Terry typed it, she transposed it. Second line down,
Yeah.
general labor. Yeah.
All right. I
Sorry,
do.
Josh.
No, no problem. So, we have a request for $13,545.48 to be transferred in the Public Works Cemeteries Department. Again, that's Department 313. So that would be $11,730.34 from general labor, an additional $1,085.14 from general labor, and $730 from maintenance of structures to go to, am I reading this right?
This doesn't make sense. I mean,
Is that one of the new ones that Terry sent us?
I don't know, it's general labor going to general labor. Why is there,
To a different department.
What number is it?
It's an interdepartmental. That is not what it says on the forms. My apologies. So,
Well, it says the same line item, too.
yeah.
so this must be correct. Jim, if you wouldn't mind coming up, just so I can make sure I'm reading this right.
Well, it doesn't make any sense. We're transferring the exact same money and there's no difference.
Terry's page is not correct.
Works,
Public The Works, transfer and form cemeteries, has two to be cemeteries, correct.
cemeteries. Okay. So the fund transfers department.
So don't look
is
at the
correct.
top
Don't look
sheet.
at the top. So let me read it. It is Department 311,
311, yes.
General Labor, in the amount of $11,730.34. And again, from the general labor line in Department 311, which is Public Works, in the amount of $1,085.14. And from the Cemeteries Department, 313, in the amount of $730, being transferred into the following accounts. That's general labor cemeteries. So it's going from general labor in Public Works to general labor in cemeteries.
Oh, so 311 is Public Works.
Right.
Thank you.
Right, so we have $11,730.34 going into that general labor cemeteries line, and then you have another $1,085.14 going into the cemeteries overtime line, and you have $730 going into heating fuel cemeteries. Those are the proposed transfers, if you would like to speak to it while you're here, and then I know you have another request too.
So the, the transfer for the labor is, the cemetery attendant's general labor is supposedly, that person fulfills two positions, a cemetery attendant and a maintainer 3. Cemetery attendant, obviously in the cemetery department, maintainer 3 is the street department. So we allocate 50% of his time is paid by cemeteries, 50% paid by 311 street department. Somewhere along the way, you know, we just didn't allocate it on the timesheet under the right column. It just kept being put under cemeteries until we overexpended it. This is just to correct that error. We've since, you know, made the correction where we need to, so it won't happen again, but that's the essence of the cause of the problem.
Where's the heating fuel used?
The chapel in Forest View. Keep it just above, you know, we don't want to damage the structure by letting it freeze. You know, the plaster, the paint, we keep it around 50.
Is that with propane or with the natural gas?
I don't even remember. It's either propane or fuel oil, I don't remember. Probably propane.
Do we have a motion?
Making a motion to approve the transfer?
Is there a second? Thank you, Jonathan. Discussion? All in favor? Unanimous?
And Mr. Mayor, if the board is interested, there was one other request that came forward from the Department of Public Works at the last moment today. I could pass out a sheet for your consideration.
Is it important to do it now? Because we have to add it to the agenda and do all that.
Yep.
It's not essential, but it would make better use of people's time than having to
Oh, we'll have line item transfers the next meeting too.
Yeah, I know, but, yeah, sure, you can wait.
Or we'll put it on, we just have to motion it for the agenda, Tom.
How much is it?
Move to add a.
Well, you just have to do a whole, well, I make a motion that we add to the agenda the proposed line item transfer being given to us tonight by the Public Works Director.
Second.
All in favor? Unanimous.
I figure that'll be shorter.
Jim, would you like to speak to it?
Yeah, sure. So, we have, our maintenance of equipment line, 311,826, is just hemorrhaging money, and it's just been going crazy ever since COVID. Every year we budget more and more, and every year the prices just keep going up. It's lunacy. So we figure we're gonna need about 10,000 to get through the rest of the year. There's only 2,000 in there now, so we've moved to transfer 10,000 from our contracted services line. And that line, that's a little difficult to budget. We used to do a lot of work out of that line, that really should have been capital, but now that we've got the capital projects going, some of that money is not quite so needed in the contracted services line, so we do have a balance of 25. So it can spare the $10,000 transfer.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Unanimous?
Thank you.
All set, Jim?
Mr. Mayor, while the Public Works Director is here, may I make a statement? Just wondering, Jim, in the process of where now, by next meeting, we'll be close to the last month of the fiscal year, is there any way that you can maybe provide us an update of what has happened on road repairs in the past, since the bonding package has been done? What's been done? Just keep us up to date on that on a regular basis. I know
Update.
we've had it about 2 months ago, we saw something about what was being done. I think it's time to see something else, an update. What roads, what have you got planned for the summer so we can speak to people when they say, well, when my road, just up to dating what's going on? Because I think you must have had some changes based upon what engineering needs to get done and what the plan has been done.
Yeah, again, we can do that. I think, I kind of like the quarterly schedule on that because it just kind of takes a while for these to get steam up, but
Well,
yeah, we
quarterly
can.
then would be July.
No, I mean, we can do it the next one and then pick a quarter beyond that. It doesn't matter really when it is, but
Well,
to do it monthly is just,
no, I'm not
too
talking
much,
about
but
monthly.
quarterly
It
seems
was
about
about 2
right.
months ago
yeah.
that we had
So we
seen the
can,
last report.
so we can do one at, the next meeting or the one after that, and whenever.
Yeah, I've worked with Josh. I'd just like to see something before the end of the end of the fiscal year or starting the new fiscal year. Just an update.
The good news is Taylor Brook's ahead, right?
Yes,
Also,
that is good news.
Also, nothing's on our website. So we need to get the report we received on the website. I think the last time is 2020. We need to get every year up on the website.
Yeah, we need to keep people informed of where their money has been approved when the bond package was, and now how the roads are getting done. It's just a good public service announcement.
Well, if you give us a report, it should be online,
Yep.
public information.
I know you're busy, but
I know, what do you do and what do you avoid? It's just always that battle, I know.
Hey, I understand.
Yeah.
I understand.
Well,
It's- Getting reports out or digging, what should I do today?
yeah,
Yeah.
or answering, we will try to be better at that.
I get it.
It's just the.
I get it. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 12, executive session, discussion on possible sale of town-owned land and discussion on strategy and negotiations of contracts. Taking with us Chief of Police Christopher Succi
And the town manager.
and the town manager. Thank you, Jonathan. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Steve. Discussion? All in favor? 7:58. Blue room? Yep.
I know. I gotta do something about that, huh? No.
I'm doing okay, how are you?
Good. I was wondering, you skipped the section F of the agenda.
That's-
Where you consider to.
So we have to go into executive session right now to talk about what we're going to sell, and then when we come out, we'll vote. So we'll return to it.
Yeah,
Yes.
I thought because everybody was leaving, we thought you were done completely.
Now, remind me, you are interested,
Interested in.
16 Brook Street. This is on my recommended for sale
Oh, great.
list right now, so I'm gonna go talk to them, and when we come out, I hope that I'll have good news for you.
Are you gonna make a decision today or next time?
My hope is today.
Oh, okay.
They said they were gonna do it last time, they said they're gonna do it today, we'll see.
So we will wait till,
You're welcome to wait. I can also, if you give me your phone number right now, I could give you a call in the morning.
Sure,
If
yeah.
you'd rather not wait around. What's your number?
it's, okay.
Sorry.
No, it's-
Oh, thank you so much for this.
No problem. No problem. Thanks for coming out. Sorry that we didn't get to it a little sooner. It's always a process. I'm excited to get this out to you as well. So
Okay, thank you.
thank you very much.
How,
Thank you so much.
who should we contact for fiber optic to replace our internet?
Because we've seen that the wire, where they were changing the wire.
Yeah,
it was
they're
so
putting
long.
fiber optic down. I have when I call you tomorrow, remind me on the phone because I have a phone
Okay.
number up in my office so you can call,
Okay,
but I don't have it
thank-
right here.
Thank you very
Great.
much.
No
Thank
problem.
you. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Looking forward to your call.
Yes, no problem.
you see these?
I did, yeah. Yeah, bizarre, isn't it? It's like we're a magnet.
Look at you got all tan. You're usually white boy, you're all tan now. You've been working outside?
No, I sat in the sun Sunday first, yeah. Sunday.
Remember, the system is on, everyone. In case there's anybody out.
Oh, I hope I have internet when I get home. It would be nice.
So, how are sales now that proms are all over?
Well, it's not out of the woods quite yet.
Not yet?
There's still the few on June 2nd, and we're getting ready for that.
All right, good. Then
Lot of
you do the
pickups.
weddings in the summer?
Oh, yeah, a lot of pickups, a lot of drop-offs still.
No, never put my name out. Oh.
Doesn't beat owning your own truck, though.
I always thought if the kids that were going to the prom together got together and put all their money together, so the suit rental, the car rental, the flowers, the hair, and everything, and they could go buy a week out vacation somewhere. I guess it wouldn't be as fun.
Berkeley Street is a weird street.
Josh?
It is.
Doors open, it might come from that.
You can't do that. You know,
Hopefully.
remember Silver's?
We smell smoke alcohol.
They're
It's 9:37 PM. We are back from executive session.
golly.
We have no one in the room for citizens' comments. There's no action taken from executive session. Selectmen's comments and reports?
I have a few comments. Just a reminder, the 85th Rotary Pet Parade is this Saturday, May 20th, 2 o'clock, rain or shine. Let's hope for some good weather. The parade starts at Meadow Street. It ends with ceremonies and awards at the East End Park. This is a must-see event for everyone, so don't miss it. It's Saturday at 2 o'clock. At the conclusion of the parade events, everyone is invited to a meet and mingle with the 12 Laurel candidates, their sponsors and family, and past Royals. This year, Cure de Say and Live at Home will host a meet and greet sidewalk cafe open to all. Please please plan to stop in and say hello. Again, immediately following the festivities and ceremonies after the pet parade. The Laurel Ball will be held Saturday, June 2 at Crystal Peak. Tickets are $15 for students, $30 for adults. All information is available on the town website, Boards and Commissions under the Laurel Commission. It's a lovely evening, a highlight for all residents, young and old, so please plan to join us. Thank you.
Yeah, at the last meeting, I brought up the website. And, I'm gonna be like a dog with a bone. I'd like to know when the contract is up, because I think we need to change vendors. I think the website's been happening for a long time, it's still on my phones, where most people do their mobiles and stuff now. It's still, since October, and then I've heard about some of the difficulties with it. So I think we should either have this subcommittee and look into what that would take to make something that's more usable, more I'll stop there for now.
If I may, it was my thought and intention, based on your comments at the last meeting, that a group would get together. I've been out most of the last couple weeks, as you know, so I wasn't able to pull that off. But if for any selectmen, apparently, I know that Candy is interested, but if any other selectmen are interested in coming together and being part of that, I would absolutely love. I believe it would be best to start as a review committee to say, what are the challenges we're facing? Because the vast majority of the concerns that have been brought to my attention have been addressed at this point, and I am happy to keep working on the rest before we say, we're going to scrap the last 7 months of work at this point. But I do appreciate the feedback, and I'm looking forward to jumping in as well.
Yeah, because I mean, I go back and I check it before I make these comments. I go back to see if the things that weren't working are working. I mean, there's still, there's still things that aren't working from the inception of it.
Okay.
And the organization of it, et cetera, and having been the one that had a committee of people when we instituted the last website over a period of time, how that all came forward and worked. I know there was linking issues, but that was probably more internal than external, and then watching the struggle that people are having getting this to work. The last time, with different website and vendors, and we also, when we had the Building Healthier Communities grant, there was a group from Bristol that kept, because we put out an RFP for some help for internal people to be able to use the website and how internal social media, how internal stuff would work. And we spent like $12,000 on that, and we have a report for that. And one of the things from there was the next step in the website. And in the website, it also included making sure that we had, especially in our recreation department and in other forms, for Spanish speaking, that, the translations that we would need there. But we also talked about having different vendors that were going to, bid on it and look at it. And I know that maybe you looked at some people, and, I've been waiting and hoping that the one we have now would be more user-friendly, better displays and stuff, but it hasn't met my expectations at all.
There have a lot of improvements that have been made over the past several months. I'm happy to go through those item by item, and I'm happy to hear about the concerns item by item too. But I haven't heard a lot of complaints coming in from staff, from members of the public, and even from the members of the Board of Selectmen, and maybe that's because you've been waiting on a couple other items to be fixed before you're bringing more items to my attention. But I think that this is a great next step to jump in and say, what else can we fix? And if we can't fix them, then maybe we do look at some alternatives. But I'd like to sit down.
Can I ask you a question? When I signed up, obviously the transition from the last website pushed information to you. And this one, it just does a data dump. Okay, but I also signed up for the newsletter. Am I gonna get this in email to me?
Yes, you'll get it this week.
Okay.
But we only send it out once it's hitting mailboxes,
No,
so
I
it's
got it.
all
No,
at
I was
once.
just curious.
This is for your.
Okay, good, because I've been waiting for that
That's
to
one
see
of the
what
things, the
happens.
notices are usually a day after. It used to be notices would be posted as soon as it was entered, or when it was scheduled, and now the notices come out, like on Saturdays, we get a notice.
For anything added on Friday, right?
Right, so, and there's
Sunday.
times you can click on things, like the big buttons, the things that work on it are the things that go to external websites to run. For instance, the assessor's data
Okay.
goes to, and the GIS map goes to outside vendors, right? So the database is held by Vision, and the GIS map is Timmons or wherever it is. So you click on that, it goes. If you go to permitting, that's an outside, all those software items that we have in our budget, if you click on that, it goes because it's an outside website that you get redirected to. And those we're spending a lot of money on, and they work.
Okay.
The same thing with, what was the other one that does it? Now the ordinances. You click on the ordinances, it takes you out to an external website that they all have spent a lot of time in it. Their product has to work because they could never sell it if it didn't work. So all the things that link, like paying your taxes online, that looking up your tax bill, that all works because it's the same vendor that all the towns around here work. Those buttons, for the most part, work, except minutes and agendas don't always work. And that's one of the key parts about things when you go to look things up. And that's where I am sometimes.
Okay. I know I had a hiccup at one meeting, but I haven't seen a hiccup since then with meetings and minutes and agendas.
Just Soldiers Monument?
Memorial Day is coming up. You'll be speaking.
Okay.
I haven't sent you an invitation formally yet. But,
We got a couple more weeks
Here it
before you
is,
need to
here it
send
is.
that.
You'll be speaking. You're all invited to be on the grandstand if you wish. We'll have chairs there. If you can't make it, then I understand that too. You're going to get invited to be at the reviewing stand for the parade, and then after the parade, come down to the grandstand. I will not be on the parade grandstand. I'll be down at the East End Park setting up. But, we have a speaker. I think in fact, I think it's been listed. We already have copies of the program that are out. So that's 2 weeks.
Quickly approaching.
29th? 29th, Monday the 29th.
Other comments? We'll see everyone at the parade on Saturday. Also, don't forget, Saturday, the 27th, from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. is the budget referendum at Pearson School. A chance to get your voice heard on the budget for the coming year. Steve?
Move we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Unanimous?
Hey, Todd, how are you feeling? You look like you're still sick, right?
COVID was nothing compared to how I've been since COVID.
Yeah, I know. It's really nasty. Very nasty.
He was a judge too? Are you a judge in the parade? We are. I'm not sure if I'm judging yet, but we're gonna be